Welcome to the Daily Globe. Please subscribe and hit the bell icon for more breaking updates. The world order is shifting, and the pace of change is accelerating in ways few could have predicted just a decade ago. Yesterday, September 25, 2025, marked a major tremor. Venezuela was formally inducted into the BRICS alliance, a move that sent shockwaves through diplomatic circles worldwide. This is not just a diplomatic gesture. It's a direct challenge to the post-Cold War consensus and a signal that the global balance of power is being actively contested. Venezuela's entry signals a hardening of global battle lines, forcing Washington, Beijing, and others to rethink their strategies and alliances in a rapidly evolving landscape. The move is the result of BRICS' deliberate expansion, transforming from an economic club into a political counterweight to the West, and now a platform for alternative global leadership. While previous additions brought resources and population, Venezuela is the bloc's most openly anti-American member, seeking lifelines after years of isolation and economic hardship under Western sanctions. For Caracas, it's a triumph over sanctions and a chance to reassert itself on the world stage. For the world, it's a sign that uncontested American hegemony is over and new power centers are emerging. Economically, BRICS now tightens its grip on global energy, with Venezuela's vast oil reserves adding new leverage and accelerates the push to de-dollarize international trade. Politically, it offers a platform for countries seeking to escape Western-led institutions and sanctions and to forge new alliances based on mutual interests rather than imposed rules. The fabric of international diplomacy is being rewoven, with new patterns of cooperation and competition emerging and old certainties fading away. The world is more multipolar, but also more fragmented and contentious, as rival blocs vie for influence and legitimacy. BRICS' decision to admit Venezuela is a statement. They will not be bound by Western norms or pressures, and are willing to chart their own course, no matter the risks. Whether this gamble pays off, or the bloc's internal contradictions prove too great, remains to be seen. The stakes are high, and the consequences will ripple far beyond Latin America. What's certain is that the geopolitical chessboard has been irrevocably altered, and every move from here on will be watched with anticipation and anxiety. Venezuela's entry is not just a headline. It's a historical marker on the road to a new global order, one that is still being written day by day. To grasp today's significance, we must look back. The early 2000s were a time of rapid globalization, shifting economic power, and new ambitions on the world stage. BRIC began as a 2001 Goldman Sachs acronym for Brazil, Russia, India, and China, emerging economies with huge potential. The term was coined by economist Jim O'Neill, who saw these nations as the future engines of global growth. Initially, it was about markets, not politics. Investors and analysts watched these countries closely, betting on their rise in the global economy. But the 2008 financial crisis exposed Western vulnerabilities, and BRIC leaders saw an opportunity to push for global financial reform. The crisis highlighted the need for a more balanced and inclusive world order. In 2010, South Africa joined, turning BRIC into BRICS and adding an African dimension. This move expanded the group's reach and influence across continents. The group soon created the new Development Bank and Contingent Reserve Arrangement, alternatives to the World Bank and IMF. These institutions aim to support development and financial stability on their own terms. These moves challenged the post-World War II Bretton Woods system, questioning the dominance of Western-led financial institutions. From 2023, BRICS expanded rapidly, inviting Egypt, Ethiopia, Iran, the UAE, and Indonesia. This marked a new era of growth and ambition for the bloc. Each new member brought strategic assets, demographics, resources, or location. Their inclusion strengthened BRICS' global presence and diversified its capabilities. The alliance was no longer just about the original five. It was becoming a coalition of the Global South, representing a broader range of voices and interests. Venezuela's admission is the latest and boldest step in this journey from acronym to alliance. It signals BRICS' intent to reshape the global order. The bloc now stands as a genuine alternative power center, with growing influence in international affairs and economic policy. The world's balance is shifting, and BRICS is at the heart of this transformation. Venezuela's path to BRICS has been marked by desperation and defiance. Once prosperous, the country has suffered economic collapse, hyperinflation, and crippling US-led sanctions. Isolated from Western markets, Caracas turned to Russia, China, and Iran for support, forming an axis of resistance. Joining BRICS is a lifeline, access to the new development bank, trade in local currencies, and a shield from US sanctions. Membership boosts Maduro's legitimacy at home and abroad, presenting Venezuela as a player in a powerful coalition. The move is about survival and sovereignty, embedding Caracas within a bloc that raises the cost of Western intervention. For Venezuela, BRICS is both protection and opportunity. It's a pivot away from a hostile West and an embrace of the emerging multipolar world. The stakes for Caracas could not be higher. The world of September 2025 is sharply divided, with tensions running higher than at any point in a recent memory. On one side stand the United States and its traditional allies, including much of Europe and the G7 nations. On the other, the rapidly expanding BRICS Plus bloc, now firmly anchored by China and Russia and joined by a growing list of nations. Venezuela's entry hasn't caused this split, but it's made the fault lines clearer, highlighting the shifting balance of global power. The US response has been swift and strategic, imposing tariffs on India and forging a new oil partnership with Pakistan, seeking to counter BRICS's growing influence in the region. These moves aim to disrupt BRICS' ambitions and reshape the global economic chessboard. BRICS Plus now represents 45% of the world's population, a staggering demographic force that cannot be ignored. The bloc also commands over 35% of global GDP and controls more than 30% of the world's oil production, making it a key player in energy markets. This gives the bloc real leverage over markets and prices, with the power to sway global trends. The alliance is now a heavyweight contender on the world stage, not just a collection of emerging economies, but a unified force with shared interests and growing influence. Global institutions like the G20 and UN are fracturing as bloc-based competition intensifies and old alliances are tested. Nations are forced to choose sides in this new era of rivalry or carefully navigate between rival powers, balancing their interests with increasing difficulty. For many in the global south, BRICS offers an increasingly attractive alternative to the Western-led order, promising new opportunities and partnerships. The world's divides are deepening, and the future remains uncertain as nations grapple with the rapidly changing global landscape. Venezuela's BRICS membership is a direct challenge to the unipolar world order. By welcoming a heavily sanctioned nation, BRICS undermines the West's sanctions regime and offers a parallel system for targeted states. This accelerates the shift to a multipolar world where power is more diffuse and contested. BRICS Plus now offers a vision of global governance based on sovereignty and non-interference, appealing to many in Asia, Africa, and Latin America. For Maduro, it's a domestic victory, framed as defiance against US imperialism. The move emboldens other states facing Western pressure, but also exposes internal contradictions within BRICS. The bloc's diversity, democracies and autocracies, could create friction, especially with Venezuela's volatility. BRICS' challenge is to maintain unity as it grows. Its future as a counterweight to the West depends on managing these contradictions. Venezuela's entry into BRICS has major economic implications, especially for energy and global finance. With Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Iran, and now Venezuela, BRICS controls a huge share of global oil reserves, functioning as a super OPEC outside US influence. This energy dominance is tied to BRICS' push for de-dollarization. The bloc aims to trade oil and commodities in local currencies, challenging the dollar's supremacy. Venezuela, cut off from the dollar system, is eager to pioneer these alternatives. The new development bank can facilitate non-dollar transactions, bypassing Western financial infrastructure. Every barrel sold for yuan or rupees is a symbolic blow to US power. The US is fighting back. Tariffs and new alliances are attempts to disrupt BRICS cohesion. The stage is set for a prolonged economic contest, with global financial stability at stake. The post-war order is no longer guaranteed. For ordinary Venezuelans, BRICS membership may not bring immediate relief from hardship. Still, the government frames it as a turning point, a new hope for recovery and national pride. BRICS is presented as an assertion of sovereignty, a rejection of Western-imposed models. This resonates with many in the global south, but critics argue it shields an authoritarian regime and does little to address Venezuela's real problems. The move highlights a deeper debate. Does sovereignty mean freedom from interference or responsibility to citizens? Venezuela's entry puts this question at the heart of the new global contest. The world must now confront the tension between state power and human rights. The stakes are not just geopolitical, they are deeply human. Expert opinion is sharply divided. Realists see BRICS' expansion as a logical response to US dominance, consolidating an anti-hegemonic coalition. Liberal internationalists warn it threatens the rules-based order, undermining democracy and human rights. Some from the global South see opportunity. BRICS offers developing nations more agency and a challenge to Western dominance. Most agree the move will increase global instability in the short term. The risk is that BRICS becomes an explicitly anti-Western bloc, especially with a confrontational US administration. The era of cooperation is giving way to overt competition. The world's future hinges on whether this rivalry leads to balance or fragmentation. We stand at a turning point. Venezuela's entry into BRICS is a bold line in the sand, marking the end of an era of US primacy. The future is uncertain, shaped by ambition, ideology, and power. Nations must navigate a complex multipolar maze where old maps no longer apply. The risk of miscalculation is high, and global institutions may become battlegrounds, yet multiple power centers could force compromise and innovation. For the global South, this is a chance for leverage and new partnerships. The world is irreversibly changed. Venezuela's inclusion is a symbol of this transformation, a testament to the rise of the rest. The chessboard is reset, and the next move is anything but certain.